Give it a chance.
Oh.
Give it a chance.
When does it start? How do we know it's starting recording?
Well, there you go. You've started.
It's definitely started.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi guys, thanks so much for joining us. So you're all people that we've met through the community, which is awesome. They're all fat lads and fat lasses, who are all doing fat can things, which is fab. So I'm kind of interested to know how people got into cycling. Obviously, the fat lad that sat next to me, he's going to kick off with that and tell us about his cycling and how he started.
I think I've been thinking about the answer to this question because it goes back quite a long time. But for me, I think primarily the first thing that got me back into it was a really nice bunch of supportive guys at my local bike shop who used to go out every week and didn't mind a fat lad coming along and waiting and then waiting at the top of the hills for me. And it was every time we went out, it was a kind of recurrent joke that, of course, I was always the last to the top of the hill, and as soon as I got there, it was straight on again. There was no waiting or resting for me, which they'd all had for 5 to 10 minutes whilst they were waiting for me. It was straight on again. So I never ever got a chance to rest on those rides. I always had to carry straight on. But that's what gave me the kind of confidence to get back into it. But the motivation for getting on a bike for me was, like many people, we'd gone through a number of years of having little kids. I travelled a lot with work. I was eating badly on planes and restaurants and everything else where I was, and I just put on piles of weight. And when I was a kid, I used to ride my bike everywhere. And didn't have any weight on me at all, and I just thought it's probably a good way of getting back into some state of physical health. So, but primarily it was about having that supportive group around me at the beginning, who encouraged me to get on the bike regardless of how I looked, and that is obviously where I got my name of Fat Lad at the Back, and also obviously where I got my other nickname of Flat Bastard. And because when I was coming downhill or we were on the flats, nobody could keep up with me because I had my weight on the pedals and I was off. So
thankfully we didn't put that on a jersey, did we?
No, we didn't put that on a jersey, but I think we should.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Al1, sorry, because we've got two Al's. Al1, your journey into cycling, if you like, kind of came on the back of a professional rugby career, didn't it?
Yeah, and what finished my career, I got some fairly severe nerve damage in my neck, so I came to a very abrupt end. It was actually up in Yorkshire when I moved up here that I had a season playing with Al, actually, the other Al, but then I had to decide what I was going to do after finishing rugby, because I probably I trained to play. I didn't really have a particularly healthy view on what I did, and so that very quickly went southward. So I needed to find something. I tried running, but just because of my weight, I was about 21 stone. It just killed my knees, and that wasn't going to last very long. So decided to buy a bike and try getting up all the hills around Yorkshire, and that was really it. It was just a really good no impact way of training that I could do pretty much every day without feeling like I was crippled the next day. So that's it. Nice simple story, really.
Yeah. Michelle, you came to cycling, I don't know, was it alcohol induced when you agreed to do when you agreed to do 75?
What an introduction there, Michelle.
You agreed to do a 75-mile bike ride when you didn't even have a bike.
I know. It's just my running buddy. I ran for a bit. I've always been overweight. I took up the gym, started running, and my running buddy ended up having to have double knee surgery. Then I got injured. She messaged and said she wanted a goal to get her out again. So cycling for her was the easiest thing on her knees. She messaged me, said, "Oh, do you fancy doing this bike ride with me, the Great Knots bike ride?" I was like, okay, I don't have a bike, but yeah, send me the link, we can sort something out. I'd agreed to it, and then she sent me the link, and it was for 75 miles. So yeah, I just had to go out and get a bike. I didn't have a clue what I was looking for, I can't lie. Started deciding that commuting would be the perfect way to start training once I'd got this bike. It's only 6 miles to work. Did that, absolutely loved it. Started finding my own routes locally and just couldn't get enough, but I wanted to go further but didn't know, you know, really where to go, because when you're in a car you go on all the main roads, don't you? So through the Fat Lad at the Back community, I found Mr. Steve Weddy, who was a Flampian at the time. He mentioned the local cycling club, said go see them, they're really inclusive, they'll get you out and about, and that's it. I went on one ride with them and now they're stuck with me. So yeah, that's it. I can't say anymore. I'm addicted and I just love being on my bike.
Fab.
Fantastic.
Lisa, all these other people have stopped running, but you are still running, and you don't.
I'm still running too.
Yeah, but not like Lisa. Lisa's like proper running.
Yeah, all right, all right.
You do some really long distances, don't you?
I do, yeah. My favourite distance is half marathon, but I have done marathons and ultra marathons as well, and duathlons.
Are you kind of typical of the people that you find in that environment?
No, not at all. I'm very much how I am on the bike. I'm always at the back. Speed is not important to me at all. It's my dog really that keeps me running, and so as long as we're out enjoying it, we do a lot of trail runs. That obviously is very much like the FLAB cycling community, is just out there having a good time. Pace doesn't matter at all shapes and sizes, just enjoying the outside, which I think why I still do it and why I still love it.
Yeah, awesome. I think everybody here has sort of done some challenging rides over the course of their cycling experience. And like, I know that Richard's done like the 312, for example. Alistair 2, Al2. You enjoy your cycling as well. What kind of stuff have you been up to?
I do a lot of stuff. I mean, I do a lot of local stuff. I'm really lucky living where we are here in Yorkshire. I can go out on my bike any day and I can go up into the Yorkshire Dales, up as many hills as I want, flat as I like. The best one we did this year, myself and a group of friends that met through cycling, we did the Newcastle to Edinburgh Coast and Castles route. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, which was 200 odd miles over 3 days. So 70 miles plus a day, which, you know, is pretty tough going. For the first day was fine. Second day was a bit sore. Third day was even sorer. But you just, for me, and you just get out and it gives you the power to go. You know, I would never have gone anywhere near some of the places we were in the Scottish borders and all of that if I wasn't out on a bike and doing that. I would never think of doing something like that. You know, and things like we've done the Way of the Roses, which is a similar thing, you know, coast to coast. So I think it just, cycling lets you get out and see these places that you maybe wouldn't see and do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think people react to you being non-typical cyclist size or non-typical runner size? Do you think people react to you in a positive way, in a surprised way? What kind of?
Predominantly, I think it's surprised. You know, you speak to people, even people that I've known for years, and they say, "Oh, what did you do today?" And I said, "I've done 75 miles on the bike." You know, we went up White Horse Bank, which I'm sure our little nose you probably know, Rich. People look at me and like, "You cycled up White Horse Bank?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I did." You know, and I think it's more surprised. I think, how can you do that because of the size you are?
Do you think
why can't I?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just
exactly.
the whole thing, isn't it? Do you think people are genuinely supportive of it, or do you think they're scathing of it? Like, what's the sort of, does it depend? Like, for example, other people on bikes, for example, what's their kind of attitude to you?
Other people, I would always have said generally supportive. But then actually, and you know, why we're here, some of the stuff that we've all seen and heard, and actually some of the worst stuff that's happened has been from other cyclists who think that every cyclist has to be a sticking Tour de France shape, you know, fitting to look good in Lycra and all of that sort of stuff. Well, it's not true, is it?
No, absolutely.
And that's I think that's what hurts the most when something like that happens, is when it's other cyclists.
Have you all had that kind of feedback from other cyclists, or is it just you? Just
I I think that for me, it's always kind of damned by their faint praise that, you know, you go up there really well for a big lad, or, you know, you're great to be behind in a headwind. Or I think the best one, it's no to do with my size, but a friend of mine said he always knows when he's behind me in a car because his windscreen wipers come on. So I'm a bit sweaty because of how hard I have to work. But it's definitely, I think it's always like those veiled sort of comments about your size and how, you know, you're there even because of or despite your size, really, I think is probably the most common approach I have.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Why do you think people have that preconception about larger people doing sport? Does anyone have any thoughts on it, where it came from?
I don't really know where it came from. I just think that as a society, I think that people automatically view fat as a barrier to doing something, and not just the way that somebody's body looks. You won't look at someone and say, oh, you've got red hair, can't believe you can cycle. It's just someone with red hair. It's just someone that's not a thin body
sure
shape.
that wasn't a comment about you, Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle.
Well, I'm straight round to you. Sort of
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? When you actually analyse it like that and you make that, yeah, you're too tall to cycle, or you're too small to cycle, or you're too thin to cycle. No one has ever saying you're too thin. They're just like, but you're too fat. It's the same as saying you're too tall or you're too small, or as you say, you got ginger hair. It just makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, fat isn't fit, is it? Really, is the view? It's
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Michelle, have you ever been abused? I mean, on the bike.
I've recently.
We're not getting into a.
I was going to say, can we? Yeah, where are we going with this?
I've recently had a lovely gentleman shout out of his van window that I needed a wide load sticker on my bike, which was delightful. I don't, not necessarily from other cyclists. I think that's maybe how my perception of what they're doing. So I'll always get that they'll be waiting at the top of the hill for me, and they'll be, it's like you get a cheer, and I sort of think sometimes, okay, I don't really need that. It's taken me a bit longer because I am heavier. I don't. It's a really weird one. I don't tend to get much abuse from other cyclists, but on the road I'll quite often get, you know, oi,
unwanted sympathy.
Yeah, and I don't really care anymore. I am what I am. I think that comes with age as well. I don't care.
Yeah. I think, like, certainly Al2 and Lisa, you've experienced some ludicrous hideousness, unfortunately, on the Fat Lad at the Back social media. How do you overcome that? Well, what do you do? Where do you put that sort of stuff when people are behaving in that way towards you?
If I'm honest, it does hurt, and it's never nice to read comments that are nasty, but you kind of have got to have a tough skin and think, well, actually, I'm not cycling for you, I'm cycling for me. Doesn't matter what I look like. And like off the back of the Fat Lad at the Back campaign stuff, the amount of people that have messaged me that I don't know and have said, thanks to seeing pictures of you cycling, I've gone out on a cycle. Like, I work in a gym, and I've had people, like normal customers, that have come in and said, oh, you've come up on my sponsored ads. And like, amazing, I've gone out on a bike now. And even people that aren't gym members that have come in to be in the gym and have said, oh, I recognise you cycle. And I'm like, yeah, and they'll say, oh, I see you out. And I just think that overcomes any negative comments that people make, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Al2, what do you feel?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, you know, you're quite upset when it happens at first, and then you think, well, hang on, I'm doing what I want to do. And I think, and you know, I too got some really nice messages, sort of private messages from people who'd seen the stuff on Facebook. But then I think one night I had a bit of a rant on Facebook myself and had a bit of a moan.
Fair enough. I mean, you know.
But the amount of support I got from that, and I suppose you realise that yeah, there is a few sad people out there who just almost have fun by abusing people, and they don't realise.
Oh no, we've lost Al.
Lost him. He was going to say, I think he was going to say they don't realise the harm that they're actually doing in the process.
Oh. Yeah, Al, we lost him. So you're back now. Yeah. You were just saying you don't think they realise.
No, they just think they're having a laugh and probably hoping that their mates see it and laugh at them and they're the big man. Well, actually, they're just keyboard warriors, aren't they? You know, at the end of the day, I think, well, could they get out on a bike and do what I do? No, they can't. I can, they can't.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So obviously we've launched quite an edgy campaign because we wanted to draw attention to the fact that our community is out there doing all sorts of incredible things. What are your sort of like, what's your general thought on that campaign and like, you know, like what we're trying to do, what we're actually aiming to do?
Al one.
I love it, basically. I just think it's it just hits the nail on the head, really striking for lots of different ways. Obviously, it's I think it's great with the conversation it's generated as well, seeing on the different social media posts. And I've straight away changed it to some of my profile as well, as this fat boy can. You know, I love it.
Yeah.
Fab.
Yeah, I think it's really, I want to say, powerful on what you've done, because essentially you've taken away their power of, well, you can't call me a fat cunt because I am fat and I can do it, so your words have got no power anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so a positive message for the people that are watching this thing, if anyone is watching this thing. Have you, and we're just going to go around, where should we start? Does anybody want to go first with kind of like their sort of positive message? What would you say to people who are maybe not as confident as you, or maybe want to try to start cycling but haven't quite made that step yet?
Or even stopped cycling because they've been abused by someone and thought, okay, I can't go out on the bike anymore because I'm going to get abused. What would you say to those guys and gals?
I'll go first. I think just find a local club, find your local Flampian, get involved with the group, ask some questions of local people. There will be a nice cycling group that you can go out with, and just do it. And you'll be surprised how much support and assistance you get. That, you know, you've just got to get out there and do it. That's it, really.
Yeah, and I for me, it's kind of, I've started enjoying cycling a lot more and kind of finding my place in it, where I'm not chasing numbers anymore with it, and it's kind of riding for the experience. I think is, you see a lot of people cycling with their heads down, chewing their handlebars, and you know, when you live around in Yorkshire and you think, what are you missing? You know, just get out there and actually have a look around, enjoy where the bike takes you, and it doesn't matter how quick you're going because you get to experience all sorts of things. So I think it's, don't go and chase numbers. There's a time and a place for that, but you know, go out and experience it.
Michelle?
Just get a bike and get out. And if you can, like Al said, find a club or check out for Flampians. There will be somebody out there that will go out with you, and once you've got that confidence, there'll be no stopping you. You'll be like me, you'll just be obsessed. You want to be out all the time.
Great. And Lisa?
Yeah, I think you've just got to do it for yourself. You've just got to get out there and enjoy it, and not think about what anyone else thinks of you, because most of the time they're too bothered looking at the phone or thinking about themselves to worry about you riding past on your bike. Just get out and enjoy it for yourself. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
What about you, Richard?
No, well, I mean, you know, you'd echo all of those comments, wouldn't you? I mean, at the end of the day, you can, you know, society now allows you to be anything at all. You know, if you wanted to say you were a dog tomorrow, then nobody could disagree with you. But being fat, for some reason, society still has some kind of issue with it. And it always amazes me when there are actually people who are heavier and carrying more weight than they want, who are out on a bike or running or whatever, trying to do something about it. and you get abused for it. And to those people, I've got 2 words to say to you, and they're not love you, I'm afraid. So, you know, you can fill the blanks. We try to create a community of people who can, you know, socially cycle. To Al's point, you know, I've found myself in exactly the same place as Al. I was riding for numbers and chewing my handlebars, mainly because I'd not eaten for 5 minutes, but you know, chewing my handlebars and chasing numbers. But now I just go out there and socially ride, and I enjoy it much more. I mean, it's just great, you know. And yeah, you can put in a bit of a spurt when you want to and so on. But I just think that it's far more inspiring seeing larger people out on a bike than it is seeing a skinny whippet out there. Yeah, you know, the motivation that you feel, and you know, the Fat Lad Sportive is a great example of it as well, where you know, you're just surrounded by people who can cycle, you know, 50 miles on a bike. And I know so many people who don't carry any weight, who would resist getting on a bike and not going anywhere. So yeah, ignore the naysayers. Fat definitely can, you know, and I'm proud of each and every one of our followers and customers, and what we've achieved and what you've achieved in you know, chasing your own goals and staying on your own journey.
Yeah. What he said. Thanks, guys. Well, we'll let you get back to your very sunny Saturday afternoons, and thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us about what you are doing and what you can do. And it's great to see all the cans here.
Absolutely. And we just conclude, I suppose, by saying fat definitely can.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Bye.